Hello, and thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to be talking to Joanie Calem, and our topic today is two singing books for creating a welcoming classroom. Now, I've been asking Joanie for a while if she would show up and tell me about two of her books that are some of my favorite songs. So there's a song and a book. And Joni also did this amazing thing where she takes a book and a song and she also creates different activities and things and movements. So for me, this is just the ultimate as a teacher or parent is not just to read a great book, not just to hear a fun song with a great message, but to also learn the different things. It really brings that message and that beautiful content home into your hearts, into your homes, into your classroom. So welcome, Joni.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, Daria.
Oh, my pleasure. If you don't know Joni, and you should, she is oh my goodness, she is so many different things. She's an author. She has illustrated her own books, a singer, songwriter, storyteller, and also, and would you say disability activist or inclusion activist?
Inclusion activist.
That
Inclusion
is
activist.
That is absolutely beautiful. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into book one?
Sure. Sure. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a storyteller,
Hear
and I
that?
and I'm an inclusion activist and advocate. I am the mother of two wonderful human beings who are now in their 30s, which is unbelievable. And my son, my second child, has autism. He is an extremely talented animator,
Whoa.
and he struggles. We call it LWA, life with autism. Life with autism in the neurotypical world is challenging. People assume all kinds of things about each other and assume that someone knows the right way to do something, assume that people have the right words, assume that people understand. And those assumptions can cause some real misunderstandings. So I have had 30 years of intensive training about what inclusion could look like. And I'm eternally grateful for that training. I think
Well,
even before him, I kind of thought that way, um, but being his mom has really um, helped me focus.
wow. And then what a gift you can be to other parents or just to other people because they don't understand, they may not understand that yet.
Right.
And you used a phrase that you know the right way to do things. Well, the wonderful thing is there are so many ways to do things.
Exactly.
And the books that you write and the way you are as a parent and as a person teaches us that there are so many different ways to create that welcoming, inclusive classroom. So there's my segue to book number one. It's You Are Welcome Here. And it is just such a singable song. I mean, it has a great message, but I could just sing it, the melody all day long. And this is wonderful when working with kids because it kind of gets in your head and then the message gets there and it's the kind of thing kids remember too if they find themselves in conflict. Well, wait a minute. Do we want this guy? Do we want this guy or this gal here? No, wait, we could, you are welcome here, you are welcome here, you and you and you and you are welcome here. That's something the teacher could say, your parents could say, everyone is welcome here.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, would you play the song for us before we dive into more of the details?
Sure. You Let me just make sure I'm in tune. Do you want the whole thing or just part of it?
Well, we could also cut right here and you could play whatever you like later and we'll just insert it right back in.
Well, I can play the whole thing. I'm just thinking of time.
Yeah, I think that maybe, why don't you give us an abridged version?
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is um the first verse and the chorus. And one of the, Daria, you mentioned that I use this as a movement exercise for kids as well and for audiences. And so I use it as a mixer because, of course, theoretically, we all want to be welcoming. Theoretically, we want to say, oh, yes, of course, everyone's welcome here. But we also know realistically, like what you just said, well, do we want to include this person? We all have that unfortunate human exclusion thing happening sometimes too. So I use this song as a mixer. So imagine, if you will, while I am singing the verse, everybody's just dancing around on their own. Okay? Doesn't matter what color your hair. Doesn't matter what clothes you wear. Doesn't matter what you got to share. You are welcome here. Doesn't matter what color your skin. Doesn't matter what shape you're in. Doesn't matter who's your kin. You are welcome here. And now I tell everybody, find a partner to dance with. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You and you, and you and you. You are welcome here, yeah. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You and you, and you and you. You are welcome here. So that's the end of the chorus. Now everybody say goodbye to your partner and go off dancing on your own again for the next verse. And then when we get to the next chorus, you're going to find a different partner. It's okay if you don't dance exactly with your best friend all the time. You're going to find someone that you haven't danced with yet. So it's a mixer in that.
Oh, I love that. And that can be done with a recording of the song.
Oh,
They don't
yes.
need to have the Joanie Calem there
Oh,
to
of
sing.
course not.
This is, I mean, it's always so much fun to be doing something with the live musician,
Yeah.
but this is something that could work in a kindergarten, a first grade,
Yes.
just kind of a social gathering. What a fun way to meet. I mean, I'm even thinking of conferences. What a fun way to meet six or eight other people, and then throughout
Funny
the
you should
conference.
say that because the second book was written, it was written with a third grade class who were having a terrible time. Oh, they were so mean to each other. They they were just, and it was coming to the end of the year and we needed to prepare something for the end of the year extravaganza and they couldn't agree on anything and I'm like, "You know what? I think this is what we have to do. We have to write a song together called We Can Get Along." And so we came up with choreography. They loved it, writing it and choreographing it. And then I use it at conferences with adults, with teachers, all the time. I use this all the time, except that the choreography that the third graders came up with is always a little difficult for the teachers. So we do a simplified version.
That's great. No, I mean, as adults, I think we need we give these wonderful things to our classes, but we forget that as adults, we like to have fun too.
Right.
We like to go and do activities and create things and sing, and how fun it is to meet someone. And then later at a coffee break or a tea break, you say, "Oh, you were the one we got to dance with. Tell me more about who you are."
Yeah.
That's that's how we learn about each other.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's perfect. So on You Are Welcome Here, I noticed, could you talk about some of the other verses? Because it's the shape you're in, the color of your skin,
Right.
and
So, But doesn't matter who's your kin. And so, of course, the picture there has all kinds of different families,
Mhm.
um, which is a reality now. Not
Yes.
everybody has a mom and a dad. Not everybody's being raised by mom and dad. So, I was looking for ways for kids to feel okay. Doesn't matter if you look like me. I mean, children, one of the things I love so much about working with children is they will say things that adults won't say, for better or for worse, right? And so
Yes.
often their parents are embarrassed. And I'm like, no, this is like, we want to hear what they're actually questioning. And so for so many kids, I mean, they do see race, they do
Mhm.
see different skin color, and they do want to know that that's okay. And
Yeah.
if they are shushed, oh, we don't talk about that, they get the very clear impression that that's something bad.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I want it really, really clear that it's not bad and it's
Mhm.
not bad to ask. And then doesn't matter if we disagree. My goodness, look at our country now. It's okay to disagree. It's not okay.
To be disagreeable. Yes.
Oh, I love that. That's right. But it's totally so, so much of my work is about we don't have to see things the same way.
Mhm.
Um,
I see that with disabilities too, is that parents shush their kids when a child is wondering, well, why are you using, why are you using that wheelchair? How does your wheel honest questions like how does that wheelchair, how do you get upstairs with that wheelchair?
yes,
And I always tell them it's okay to, as long as you're asking respectfully with love, and you realize sometimes the person may not want to respond, as long as you kind of understand that, then it can often make someone feel very good to know that you're truly genuinely interested in,
right,
hey, upstairs there's the snack bar. How does my friend get upstairs there?
right,
That the shushing, the kind of we don't talk about it is how we kind of go backwards
right,
and how we go forward. Or autism. Why does so and so is why are they nonverbal? Why don't they
right,
talk? Does that
right,
mean they're not communicating?
right.
No. These are the great questions. Why does someone do this or that?
Yeah,
And again, if it's done with love and if the adults in the room can offer really good perspective, we raise kids that are curious and loving instead of closed down and disagreeable.
right. Well, and that whole thing about, the old saying, curiosity killed the cat. And, I understand how it applies to cats, but curiosity is not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's like showing you're paying attention, it's showing you're
Yeah.
interested, it's showing you're noticing. And, so that genuine curiosity is like, yeah, why not answer those questions? Why not allow for genuine curiosity? So again, of course, in the book, I have doesn't matter if you're they, she, or he,
Mhm.
the whole pronoun thing.
Because kids are so much more aware of that now, and it has a great deal of meaning to them.
Yep,
So if it has meaning to them, we should be respectful of that meaning, giving them
right,
the space to be who they are and possibly to change that later if
right,
they choose to.
right,
But it's the same way we want our space. You know how they used to ask us, do you want to be Miss, Ms., or Mrs. Calem or whatever? Or I always wanted to check other,
I know.
but at least they gave us choices. And I
Right,
think of it, not as something that just allows our children to see a broader view of who they are and not be limited and defined
yeah,
by kind of gender, not by gender, but by gender stereotypes. So I
right.
love that. To me is just so fun that you added it in there, and it's so subtle and beautiful and just perfectly done.
Yeah, thank you. But so it goes through, it goes through moods. Doesn't matter if you're happy or sad, because of course, That's another thing, with autism, with sensory processing issues, that, there are times when someone who's being bombarded by sensory input, they look like they're angry, they look like they're, it doesn't matter if you sometimes get mad. They are probably feeling just really uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Um, and so if we've got that spaciousness that it doesn't all have to be one way, then it's a gentler way of being with people.
Hmm.
And it goes a long way to helping somebody feel better if they're not being told, don't behave like that. That makes it
Yeah.
worse. And then doesn't matter what stuff you have. So often, I still remember when my kids were little, they went to public school, and a lot of their friends went to private schools. And the kids that were going to the private schools were very concerned about the right fashion and very concerned about having the right toys and the right shoes and the right games, because there was this kind of peer pressure that wasn't happening in the public school that my kids were going to. And that, made me very aware of those different kinds of conformism that happens sometimes, where you have to dress a certain way, you have to, have the certain shoes, or you're not cool.
Hmm.
Um, so I stuck
Yeah,
to
and I noticed in the book there was a picture of a person living in a tent.
right.
And I mean, I truly have seen people that explain, I mean, there was about 2 months where I lived out of my van, and I mean, I was an adult and I could make things work, but sometimes this happens to kids. And,
Yep.
that is to have kids not feel ashamed, not feel weird, not feel bad, and to perhaps even be able to ask for help,
Right.
whether that help is food, snacks.
Right.
Our library has all kinds of like hygiene products.
Yes.
So if you don't make people feel weird about what they have or what their house looks like or what their situation at home is, then it's easy to get them the help they need. And
Right.
it's easy to be that helper.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's very subtle. Your book is just, it has so many layers, and that's really why I wanted to talk to you about it.
Thank you.
We have about 5 more minutes because
Okay.
I love long interviews, but we're going to try to keep this a little shorter. Talk to us about the second book. We learned that you made it for the third graders.
Yes.
What would you like to tell us about it?
Well, this one also came. Let me sing you the beginning. There are folks of different shapes and sizes everywhere we look. 'Member, we don't judge by the cover of a book. We're each a little different. We're all a lot the same. And we can get along. That's the name of the game. So this was actually inspired by a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. In fact, I'm doing a performance with him on Sunday, and he has this kid song that he wrote that's "We're All the Same." And I was like, but we're not.
Mhm.
But it's okay that we're not. And and I totally love his song, and I totally understand his sentiment and why he wrote that. And I really, again, like, what we were talking about of children asking questions. One of the things that I always want to do with children is help them be observers, help them be really intelligent seers of what is around them. If it's nature, if they're in the city, obviously there's like survival skills that are really
Yeah.
important in terms of being able to notice what's around you, but also just to treasure and appreciate the beauty that's around us, and to be able to see, in a city, how beautiful certain parts of the city are, out in the woods, how beautiful the trees are. So to encourage observation. And if you're encouraging observation, then you're going to see that we're not all the same. And thank
Mhm.
goodness, because why would we all want to be the same?
How boring if we ate the same meal, if there was only one meal to eat, even if it was the best meal in the world,
Right.
or if we all looked the same, wore the same clothes, liked the same hobbies.
Right. So
So that's
the
perfect.
subtext of this is also that if you think about bullying, so much of bullying is making fun of someone's difference. Like, oh, look at you, you don't know how to dress, or look at you, your hair is messy. Like, making fun of these things where someone is different. So I do a lot of workshops for teachers. One workshop is called Different is Not Dangerous,
Mm.
and specifically giving teachers tools, stories, songs, games to do with kids to encourage the appreciation of difference. And so when you've taken away that thing to make fun of, I can make fun of you because I'm going to call you fat. Well, when whatever your body size is appreciated and loved, and oh, isn't that cool? This person looks like this and this person looks like this. It's not a reason to make fun of them. It's cool. It's
So you're disarming that kind of,
Yeah,
kind of the ugly side of observation, which
yes,
I'd call judgment. Yeah,
right,
beautiful.
right. So that was the other kind of, and it was interesting in that third grade class, there was a girl who was being teased because, she was bigger. And so she made sure to have that in the song. But she did not, and I was so happy she was there. She like advocated for herself. She refused for the song to include the word fat because she said that is such an insulting word. It's used insultingly. And so, we went with big and small, which,
Mhm. Yeah, it's accurate.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that was the purpose of that song. It's also a mixer. Like I said, there's all these movements that go with it. And the one rule, if you can call it a rule, is that every time we do the chorus, you are dancing with somebody else. And I have seen that particular song. I had a, a they were fifth graders, and for some reason, it was a small private school. It was all boys. It was a
Huh.
class of 12 boys. So 12, 10-year-old boys, and they were having lots of arguments, lots of jockeying for who's the big guy on the block, and lots of I am not your friend. And after doing this, and we did this continually, we did this dance a lot. Two boys who were really having a hard time with each other started hanging out and getting along.
Oh, that isn't that those
What?
are kind of the joyous harvest of why we do what we do.
That's right.
Is and if we can kind of sow those seeds when they're 10, imagine what'll happen when they become 18 or 20 something. These are the lessons kids absolutely need, and you're making it fun. And that's what I
Trying.
love is that kids learn. I know I learned the teachers I remember are the ones that made their subject, even if I hated the subject, that would do games or puzzles or mixers. I just couldn't wait to win or to answer
Right.
that.
Right.
And, it was stealth learning because darn it, I became really good at subjects I didn't even care about.
That's right.
And it's so beautiful. Like you say, there's a subtext about, coming to care about each other, which is the highest form of our humanity, is
Yeah.
realizing the humanity of everyone else in the room and in our community and in our world. And it
Yeah.
starts with seeds like the ones you're planting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Joni, when people are interested in your books, I'm going to put a link below, but also what about your teachers? You mentioned teachers workshops. I'll put the link there below so they can reach out to you. They could
Yes.
book you, or
Yes.
they could just ask you questions and kind of get on your mailing list
Yes.
because I know you're working on a new project this summer, and that's exciting. Get on our mailing list
Yeah.
and, listen. You will absolutely love it. You also do some music for adults. You do music in Hebrew. All these things. That Joni is just an amazing, multi-talented lady that is making the world a better place. And I think that's a good place for us to end right now by thanking you for what you do and for sharing, especially these two books. They're so easy to include in your classroom or in your home library, and they will make your day more welcoming and fun. So thank you, Joni. Until
Thank you,
next
Daria.
time.